The dust kicked up by the rover settled slowly in the low gravity. Commander David Fletcher watched through his helmet visor as the particles drifted down like tiny snowflakes. He had been exploring Luna's far side for 3 weeks now, and the silence still amazed him. No wind, no weather, just the endless quiet of space. Fletcher adjusted his equipment pack and checked his oxygen levels. Plenty left for another 6 hours of exploration. His team from the Terran Heritage Foundation had come here following strange readings from orbital scanners. Something large was buried under the surface. Something that shouldn't be there. "Command, this is Fletcher," he spoke into his radio. "I'm approaching the anomaly site now." The voice of Dr. Emma Walsh crackled back from base camp. "Copy that, David. What do you see?" Fletcher climbed over a small ridge and stopped. The scanner readings had been right. Below him, barely visible under centuries of dust, was the outline of something metallic, something big. "Emma, you need to see this," Fletcher said. He activated his suit's camera and began recording. "I've got what looks like a structure. Artificial. Human-made, I think." He made his way down the slope, his boots leaving clear prints in the virgin dust. The structure was enormous, at least 50 meters across. As he brushed away the accumulated debris, symbols became visible. Numbers and letters in English. "This is impossible," Fletcher whispered. "Emma, these markings are in English, and they look old, really old." "How old?" Walsh asked. Fletcher studied the weathered metal. 200 years, maybe more. But that can't be right. Humans didn't have moon bases back then. He found what looked like an entrance, a heavy door, sealed tight but with a control panel beside it. Fletcher connected his portable power unit to the panel. After a few moments, lights flickered on. The door groaned and slowly slid open. "The power systems are still working," Fletcher reported. "I'm going inside." The airlock cycled him through, and Fletcher found himself in a corridor that stretched into darkness. Emergency lights came on automatically, revealing walls covered in equipment and displays. Everything looked human, but the technology was unlike anything he had seen before. Fletcher moved deeper into the facility. Room after room opened before him, each filled with advanced equipment. Laboratories with experimental devices. Living quarters with personal belongings still scattered about. A cafeteria with meals still on the tables preserved in the vacuum. "Emma, this place is huge," Fletcher said. "It goes down deep into the moon, and it looks like it was abandoned in a hurry. People just left everything behind." He entered what appeared to be an office. Papers were scattered across a desk. Fletcher picked one up and read the header. Terran Lunar Research Facility 7. Project Exodus. Classified Level 10. Fletcher had never heard of a Level 10 classification. In his 20 years with the military and then the Heritage Foundation, he had only seen Level 5 clearances at most. He activated the desk computer. It powered up immediately, displaying a login screen. Fletcher tried several common passwords. On his 4th attempt, the system opened. Files and folders filled the screen. Project Exodus, FTL Research, Colony Ships, Hegemony Threat Assessment. Fletcher's hands shook as he read the file names. Faster than light travel, colony ships. None of this should exist. He opened the first file. A project overview appeared, dated 230 years ago. Fletcher read quickly, his amazement growing with each paragraph. The document described a secret international project to develop faster-than-light travel. Scientists from every major Earth nation had worked together in this hidden moon base. They had succeeded beyond their wildest dreams, creating not just FTL drives but entire starships capable of carrying thousands of people across the galaxy. But something had gone wrong. Another file described an alien threat. A species called the Hegemony had detected Earth and was approaching. Their fleet was massive and their intentions were hostile. Humanity had perhaps 20 years before they arrived. Fletcher found video logs next. He played the first one. A tired-looking woman in a lab coat appeared on screen. Dr. Rebecca Stone, according to the caption. "This is my final log," Dr. Stone said. "The Hegemony ships have been detected at the edge of our solar system, earlier than we expected. We're evacuating the facility immediately. The Prometheus is almost ready, but we won't have time to complete the mission. The other ships have already launched with their colonists. God help us all." The recording ended. Fletcher sat back in the chair, trying to process what he had learned. A secret moon base, faster than light travel, alien threats, colony ships, launching from Earth 2 centuries ago. He accessed more files, ship manifests, colonist lists, destination coordinates. Everything pointed to a massive evacuation program. Humanity had been preparing to spread across the galaxy, fleeing from an alien invasion that official history claimed never happened. Fletcher opened a map file. It showed dozens of star systems, each marked with colony ship destinations. New Terra, Haven, Sanctuary, New Beijing. The names went on and on. If the documents were real, thousands of humans had been living on distant worlds for over 200 years. "David, are you all right?" Walsh's voice interrupted his thoughts. "You've been quiet for an hour." Fletcher realized he had been reading for much longer than he thought. "Emma, I need you and the team down here immediately, and I need you to contact Earth. We're going to need a much larger team." "What did you find?" Fletcher looked around the abandoned office, then at the computer screen full of impossible secrets. "I found proof that everything we know about human history is wrong. We're not alone in the galaxy, Emma, and we haven't been for a very long time." He began copying files to his portable drive, knowing that what he had discovered would change everything. Somewhere out there among the stars, human colonies were waiting. The question was whether Earth was ready to learn the truth about its hidden children. Fletcher stood and walked to a window that looked out into the facility's depths. Lights were coming on automatically as his presence triggered sensors. The base was much larger than he had imagined, and somewhere down there, according to the files, was something called the Prometheus, something that might hold even more secrets than he had already uncovered. 3 days had passed since Fletcher's initial discovery, and the abandoned moon base had revealed more secrets with each passing hour. His team of 6 researchers now worked around the clock, exploring the vast underground complex that stretched deeper than anyone had imagined. Fletcher stood in Laboratory Complex C, watching Dr. Walsh examine a device that defied explanation. The machine hummed quietly, its surfaces covered in symbols that seemed to shift and change when viewed directly. Around them, dozens of similar devices filled the room, each one representing technology decades ahead of anything currently available to humanity. "The power source is completely unknown," Walsh said, running her scanner over the device. "It's generating energy at levels that should be impossible with our current understanding of physics. And it's been running continuously for over 2 centuries. Fletcher nodded, making notes on his tablet. Every room they explored raised new questions. The facility wasn't just advanced for its time. It represented a leap in human technology that official history claimed never happened. Tom, Bradley, their systems specialist, called out from across the room. "Commander, you need to see this. I've accessed the main research database." Fletcher and Walsh joined Bradley at a large console. Multiple screens displayed research data, technical specifications, and progress reports. The scope of Project Exodus was becoming clearer with each file they uncovered. They weren't just working on faster-than-light travel, Bradley explained. They developed complete terraforming systems, advanced medical technology, and something called quantum manufacturing. "Look at this." Bradley pulled up a video file. The screen showed a laboratory where scientists worked with materials that seemed to reshape themselves. Metal flowed like liquid, forming complex structures in seconds. Organic compounds grew and developed according to program specifications. "This is impossible," Walsh whispered. "They're creating matter from energy. Actually, creating it." Fletcher watched the demonstration with growing amazement. The implications were staggering. With technology like this, human colonies could establish themselves on any world, transforming hostile environments into habitable paradises. They moved to the next section of the laboratory complex. Here, Fletcher found personal journals left behind by the facility's researchers. He opened one at random and began reading. "Dr. Michael Torres, Chief Engineer, Personal log, day 2147 of Project Exodus. The FTL tests continue to exceed all expectations. Today we achieved stable jump distances of over 100 light-years. The drive systems are ready for installation on the colony ships. But the news from Earth grows worse each day. The hegemony fleet has been detected at the edge of Pluto's orbit. We have perhaps 6 months before they reach Earth. Fletcher felt a chill as he read. The official histories made no mention of any alien contact in that period. Earth's governments had hidden the truth completely. He found another journal, this one belonging to Dr. Lisa Chen, Xenobiology Department. Her entries painted a terrifying picture of the approaching threat. The hegemony is unlike anything we imagined. Our deep space probes sent back data before being destroyed. Their ships are the size of cities and they travel in fleets of hundreds. But worse is their history. Every species they encounter faces the same choice: complete submission or total destruction. They don't negotiate, they don't compromise. They consume entire civilizations. Fletcher shared the journal entries with his team. The gravity of humanity's situation 2 centuries ago was becoming clear. Faced with an enemy they couldn't defeat, Earth's leaders had chosen to preserve the species through hidden colonies scattered across the galaxy. They found more evidence in the living quarters. Photographs of families who would never return to Earth. Personal belongings of colonists who had volunteered to leave everything behind for humanity's future. Children's drawings depicting new worlds under alien suns. Dr. Walsh discovered a recreation area where the facility's staff had spent their off hours. A wall was covered with messages from colonists who had already departed on the early colony ships. Brief updates from worlds dozens of light-years away. New Terra Colony Year 3. Population now 15,000. First generation of native-born humans arrived safely, terraforming ahead of schedule. The children love the purple grass. Haven Settlement Year 5. Agricultural systems fully operational. We're sending genetic samples back to Earth via quantum relay. The native fruit here could revolutionize Earth's food production sanctuary base. Year 7. Contact established with friendly alien species. They call themselves the Varen. They're helping us understand galactic politics. Humanity has allies out there. Fletcher read the messages with wonder. While Earth remained unaware, human colonies had been thriving and growing among the stars. They had made contact with other species, developed new technologies, and created entirely new societies. Bradley discovered the facility's main communication center. Banks of quantum relay devices lined the walls, their screens dark but their power indicators still glowing. These machines had maintained contact with the distant colonies, receiving updates and sending technical information across impossible distances. "Commander," Bradley said, "these relay systems are still functional. We could potentially re-establish contact with the colonies." The possibility was staggering. Fletcher realized they might be able to communicate with human civilizations that had been developing independently for over 200 years. What had they become? How far had they advanced? They found the facility's main conference room next. A massive table surrounded by chairs with wall displays showing star maps and colony locations. This was where humanity's future had been planned and coordinated. Where desperate leaders had made impossible decisions to save their species. Fletcher activated the room's main display. A 3-dimensional map appeared, showing the local galactic region. Dozens of points glowed in different colors, each representing a colony ship destination. Some were marked as established, others as contact lost, and a few showed status unknown. The map revealed the true scope of humanity's expansion. Colonies spread across a region of space spanning hundreds of light-years. If the settlements had continued growing, human population among the stars might now number in the millions. Walsh found another set of personal logs, these from the facility's final days. The entries described frantic preparations as the hegemony. Fleet approached Earth faster than expected. Ships launched ahead of schedule, carrying incomplete equipment and reduced populations. The final evacuation of the moon base proceeded in chaos as early warning systems detected alien scouts entering the solar system. Fletcher began to understand the true tragedy of the situation. Humanity had achieved wonders, spread across the galaxy, and established thriving colonies. But Earth itself had been cut off, left in ignorance of its children among the stars. The secret had been kept so well that even now, 2 centuries later, most of humanity remained unaware of their cosmic legacy. As night fell over the lunar surface, Fletcher's team gathered in the facility's main laboratory. They had uncovered an incredible secret, but they knew it was only the beginning. Somewhere deeper in the facility, according to the files they had found, waited something called the Prometheus. The final colony ship, abandoned when the evacuation proceeded faster than planned. Fletcher looked at his exhausted team and made a decision. Tomorrow they would venture deeper into the facility's lower levels. They would find the Prometheus and discover what other secrets humanity's ancestors had left behind. Outside, Earth rose over the lunar horizon, blue and beautiful and completely unaware that its children had already conquered the stars. Fletcher's breath fogged his helmet as he descended deeper into the facility than any human had ventured in over 2 centuries. The elevator shaft stretched down through solid lunar rock, its walls lined with fiber optic cables that pulsed with data even after all these years. His team followed in silence, each member aware they were approaching something monumental. The elevator stopped at level 15, a depth of nearly 2 kilometers below the lunar surface. The doors opened to reveal a corridor wider than any they had seen before, its ceiling disappearing into shadows above. Emergency lighting activated automatically, illuminating walls covered in massive displays and control panels. Fletcher stepped out first, his suit's sensors immediately detecting an atmosphere, not breathable by human standards, but stable and pressurized. The facility's life support systems had maintained basic environmental controls even in the deepest sections. "This is the central command level," Fletcher read from a sign near the elevator. "Authorized personnel only. Project Exodus. Final phase operations." They moved down the corridor, passing sealed chambers and locked storage areas. Everything here felt different from the upper levels. The technology was more advanced, the security systems more elaborate. This was where humanity's most crucial decisions had been made. Fletcher found the main command center behind a door marked with symbols he didn't recognize. The chamber beyond took his breath away. A vast room stretched before them, filled with holographic displays and control stations. At its center stood a circular platform surrounded by projection equipment. "Tom, can you get the main systems online?" Fletcher asked. Bradley connected his equipment to the nearest console. After several minutes of work, the room came alive. Displays activated throughout the chamber, showing star charts, ship status reports, and communication logs from colonies. Across the galaxy, the central platform began projecting a 3-dimensional map of local space. "Commander," Walsh called from a nearby station, "I found the primary database. It contains complete records of Project Exodus, including classified files marked for facility commanders only." Fletcher joined her at the console. The database contained thousands of files, each one revealing new aspects of humanity's secret expansion. But one file caught his attention immediately. "Final phase authorization, Project Exodus Leadership Council, eyes only." He opened the file and began reading. The document contained humanity's most closely guarded secrets, revelations that would reshape everything Earth believed about its own history. The file revealed that Project Exodus hadn't been humanity's first encounter with alien civilizations. Deep space monitoring stations had been detecting alien communications for over 50 years before the hegemony threat emerged. Earth's governments had established a secret council to manage first contact protocols and prepare for eventual alien encounters. Fletcher found video records of council meetings. The projection system displayed holographic recordings of world leaders gathering in this very chamber. Presidents, prime ministers, and military commanders from every major nation, all sworn to absolute secrecy. The first recording showed a meeting from 40 years before the hegemony crisis. A man identified as Director Harrison spoke to the assembled leaders. "Ladies and gentlemen, our deep space arrays have confirmed it. We are not alone in the galaxy. Our analysis indicates at least 17 distinct alien civilizations within 500 light-years of Earth. Some are more advanced than us. Some appear to be at similar technological levels, and some may pose significant threats to human survival. Fletcher watched in amazement as Earth's leaders discussed alien civilizations as calmly as they might discuss trade agreements. They had known about extraterrestrial life for decades before the general population even suspected it existed. Another recording revealed the moment everything changed. Director Harrison stood before an emergency session of the council, his face grim. The situation has deteriorated rapidly. Our long-range scanners have detected a massive fleet approaching from the direction of the Vega system. Analysis of their technology suggests they are far more advanced than any civilization we've previously identified. Based on intercepted communications, they call themselves the Hegemony. The recording showed detailed intelligence about the Hegemony, a militaristic empire that had conquered dozens of worlds, absorbing useful populations and destroying those who resisted. Their fleet was enormous, containing hundreds of city-sized vessels armed with weapons that could crack planets. Fletcher found more recordings showing the development of Project Exodus. The decision hadn't been made lightly. Earth's best scientists and military strategists had explored every possible defense against the Hegemony. Nothing they could develop would be ready in time. "We cannot win a direct confrontation," admitted General Patricia Moore in one recording. "Our only choice is to ensure human survival through dispersal. If Earth falls, humanity must continue among the stars." The recordings revealed the massive scope of the project. 12 colony ships had been built in secret facilities throughout the solar system. Each ship could carry 10,000 colonists plus the equipment needed to establish a new civilization. The technology required had pushed human science forward by decades in just a few years. Fletcher discovered that the Moon facility had served as the central coordination hub for the entire project. Scientists here had not only developed FTL travel, but had also solved the problems of long-term space survival, planetary terraforming, and sustainable colony establishment. One file contained a complete timeline of the evacuation. The first colony ship, New Horizon, had launched 7 years before the Hegemony's arrival. It carried scientists, engineers, and genetic samples to establish humanity's first interstellar settlement. Each subsequent ship had been better equipped and carried more colonists. The recordings showed the growing urgency as the Hegemony fleet approached faster than expected. Ships launched with reduced populations and incomplete preparations. Families were separated. Critical equipment was left behind. The careful plans of Project Exodus became a desperate race against time. Fletcher found the most shocking revelation in a file marked Post-Contact Intelligence. The Hegemony fleet had indeed reached Earth, but not as the recordings had expected. Instead of invasion, they had established orbital positions and issued ultimatums. "Surrender your advanced technology and submit to Hegemony rule, or face complete annihilation." Earth's governments had faced an impossible choice. They could surrender and lose their freedom, or resist and face destruction. But they had chosen a third option that only the Project Exodus leadership knew about. A recording from the final days revealed the truth. Director Harrison stood alone in the command center, speaking to the camera. "The Hegemony has accepted our offer. We have convinced them that Earth is a primitive world with no advanced technology. In exchange for leaving us alone, we have provided them with false intelligence about several uninhabited systems they can claim instead. The deception will not last forever, but it gives our colonies time to establish themselves safely." Fletcher realized the magnitude of what Earth's leaders had accomplished. They had convinced a superior alien force that humanity posed no threat while secretly establishing a galactic civilization. The Hegemony had left Earth believing they had neutralized a minor species, unaware that humans were already spreading across dozens of worlds. The final recording was dated just days before the facility's abandonment. Harrison appeared older, exhausted by the weight of his decisions. "The Hegemony has departed believing Earth neutralized. Our colonies are established and growing, but we cannot risk exposing them by maintaining contact from Earth. This facility will be sealed, its location hidden from future generations. If humanity on Earth ever advances enough to find us again, these records will reveal the truth about our galactic family. Fletcher stood in the empty command center trying to process what he had learned. Earth hadn't been abandoned or forgotten. It had been deliberately isolated to protect the colonies that carried humanity's future. For 200 years, human civilizations had been growing and advancing among the stars, while Earth remained ignorant of their existence. But the recordings contained one more crucial piece of information. The Prometheus, the final colony ship, hadn't launched with the others. It remained hidden somewhere in the facility, fully equipped and ready for its mission. According to the files, it contained technology and resources that surpassed even the other colony ships. Fletcher looked at his team, seeing the same amazement in their faces that he felt. They had uncovered the greatest secret in human history. But their discovery was only the beginning. Somewhere in the depths below them waited a starship that could change everything. Outside, Earth continued its orbit, unaware that its children among the stars had grown into civilizations that might now span half the galaxy. The question was whether humanity was ready to reclaim its place among them. The encrypted coordinates from the command center led Fletcher and his team through a maze of maintenance tunnels and service corridors deeper than they had imagined possible. Their suit lights carved narrow beams through the darkness as they descended levels that didn't appear on any of the facility's standard maps. The air grew thicker around them, and their instruments detected increasing power signatures from somewhere far below. Fletcher checked his position scanner for the 10th time in an hour. According to the device, they were now nearly 4 kilometers beneath the lunar surface, approaching the coordinates that Director Harrison's final messages had marked as Prometheus storage, authorized access only. The tunnel opened into a vast antechamber carved directly from lunar bedrock. Emergency lighting strips ran along the walls, their glow revealing massive blast doors that stood 20 meters high. Above the doors, engraved in metal letters that seemed to shine with their own light, were the words, UES Prometheus, Humanity's Promise to the Stars. Walsh ran her hands along the blast doors, her instruments detecting layers of exotic materials that her scanner couldn't identify. These doors are built to withstand direct nuclear assault, she reported. Whatever's behind them was meant to survive anything. Bradley connected his equipment to the door's control system. Unlike the simpler locks they had encountered throughout the facility, this system required multiple authorization codes and biometric confirmations. Fortunately, the command center's database had provided Director Harrison's emergency access credentials. The massive doors groaned as they began to open, their movement accompanied by the hiss of equalizing pressure. Beyond them lay darkness so complete that their light seemed to be absorbed by it. Fletcher stepped forward first, his beam revealing a platform that extended into empty space. What lay beyond took his breath away. The Prometheus filled a hangar, so vast that Fletcher couldn't see its far walls. The ship stretched for over a kilometer, its hull gleaming with a metallic surface that seemed to shift between silver and deep blue. The vessel's design was unlike anything in Earth's current fleet. Sleek curves flowed seamlessly into functional structures, creating a ship that was both beautiful and clearly built for the vast distances between stars. Towers and antenna arrays rose from the ship's upper hull, while massive engine assemblies dominated its rear section. But it was the ship's size that truly amazed Fletcher. The Prometheus was easily 10 times larger than the biggest ships currently in Earth's space fleet. "This is impossible," Walsh whispered through the radio. "The engineering requirements alone. How did they build something this massive without anyone knowing?" Fletcher walked along the platform that circled the ship's docking bay. Through transparent aluminum windows, he could see into the vessel's interior spaces. Vast corridors stretched between decks filled with equipment and living areas. The ship wasn't just designed for travel. It was built as a complete city that could sustain thousands of people for decades. They found an airlock that responded to Bradley's access codes. The ship's internal systems activated as they boarded, filling corridors with soft lighting and the gentle hum of life support systems coming online. A feminine voice spoke through hidden speakers. "Welcome aboard the UES Prometheus. I am Diana, the ship's artificial intelligence. It has been 137 years, 4 months, and 16 days since my last human contact. How may I assist you? Fletcher looked at his team in amazement. The ship possessed an artificial intelligence that had been waiting alone for over 2 centuries. Diana, I'm Commander David Fletcher of the Terran Heritage Foundation. We're exploring this facility. Can you give us a tour of the ship? Certainly, Commander Fletcher. The Prometheus was designed as humanity's most advanced colony vessel, incorporating breakthrough technologies developed specifically for Project Exodus. Please follow me. Holographic indicators appeared along the corridor walls, leading them deeper into the ship. Diana's voice continued as they walked. The Prometheus measures 1.2 kilometers in length and can sustain a population of 12,000 colonists in normal operations, or up to 20,000 in emergency conditions. The ship contains complete manufacturing facilities, scientific laboratories, and terraforming equipment capable of establishing a thriving colony on any suitable world. They passed through sections that looked more like small cities than spacecraft interiors. Residential areas contained thousands of individual quarters and family apartments. Commercial districts held shops, restaurants, and recreational facilities. Fletcher realized the Prometheus wasn't just a transport. It was a complete society designed to preserve human culture during the long journey between stars. Diana led them to the ship's central bridge, a circular chamber dominated by holographic displays and control stations. The view screens showed the hangar beyond, but Fletcher could see they were also capable of displaying star charts and navigation data spanning the entire galaxy. The ship's FTL drive represents humanity's greatest scientific achievement, Diana explained. Unlike conventional faster-than-light systems that merely exceed light speed, the Prometheus utilizes quantum dimensional folding to effectively eliminate travel time across galactic distances. Journey time to any destination within 500 light-years is approximately 72 hours. Fletcher sat in the captain's chair, looking out at displays showing the ship's incredible capabilities. The engineering specifications alone represented advances that current Earth science wouldn't achieve for decades. But Diana had more revelations to share. Commander, you should be aware that the Prometheus was not intended as a one-way voyage. The ship was designed to establish its colony and then return to Earth with advanced technologies and resources from the New World. Additionally, it carries communication equipment capable of re-establishing contact with all Project Exodus colonies. The implications hit Fletcher immediately. This ship could not only transport people to distant worlds but could also reconnect Earth with the human civilizations that had been developing among the stars for over 2 centuries. Diana guided them to the ship's information center, where massive data banks contained detailed records of all Project Exodus colonies. Star charts showed their locations, population estimates, and technological development status. Some colonies had grown into major civilizations with millions of inhabitants. Based on automated reports received before communication protocols were terminated, Diana said, the colonies have exceeded all expectations. New Terra alone now supports over 3 million humans across 4 continents. Haven has established trade relationships with 6 alien species, and Sanctuary has become the hub of a defensive alliance, protecting 12 inhabited systems from hostile forces. Fletcher studied the reports with growing excitement. Humanity hadn't just survived among the stars, they had thrived beyond anyone's imagination. Human colonies had become interstellar powers, establishing trade networks, forming alliances, and expanding their influence across vast regions of space. The ship's manufacturing section revealed technology that seemed like magic to Fletcher's 25th century perspective. Molecular assemblers could create any needed equipment from basic materials. Medical systems could repair injuries and diseases that current Earth medicine considered incurable. The food production facilities could feed the ship's entire population, using recycling systems that operated at nearly perfect efficiency. Diana showed them the ship's most remarkable feature in the lower decks. A massive chamber contained what she called the Genesis Array, terraforming equipment capable of transforming entire worlds. The system could alter planetary atmospheres, establish ecosystems, and create habitable environments in decades rather than centuries. With the Genesis Array, the Prometheus colony could establish a fully terraformed world capable of supporting millions of inhabitants within 50 years, Diana explained. The system represents the culmination of human environmental science. Fletcher realized they had discovered not just a ship, but the key to humanity's expansion across the galaxy. The Prometheus contained everything needed to establish new civilizations and reconnect with existing ones. It was humanity's gateway to reclaiming its place among the stars. As they completed their tour, Diana presented Fletcher with a choice that would determine humanity's future. The ship was fully operational and ready to launch. Its destination coordinates were programmed for a world in the Kepler system where conditions were perfect for human colonization. But the ship could also be reprogrammed to visit existing colonies and re-establish contact with Earth's stellar children. Fletcher stood on the bridge looking out at the vast hangar, knowing he held humanity's future in his hands. The decision he made would determine whether Earth remained isolated or rejoined the galactic civilization that had grown from its children among the stars. Fletcher stood alone on the Prometheus bridge as his team rested in the ship's comfortable quarters. Through the massive viewing ports, he could see Earth rising over the lunar horizon, its blue surface peaceful and unaware of the momentous decision that would soon reshape human civilization. Diana's holographic form materialized beside him, her appearance that of a middle-aged woman with kind eyes and an expression of infinite patience. "You have been thinking for 3 days, Commander," Diana observed. "The weight of choice is considerable, is it not?" Fletcher nodded, his gaze moving between Earth and the star charts that showed humanity's hidden empire scattered across the galaxy. "Diana, show me the latest data on the colonies, everything you know about their current status." The bridge displays came alive with information that made Fletcher's heart race. Diana had maintained passive monitoring of quantum communication relays throughout the galaxy, collecting scattered data transmissions that painted an incredible picture of human expansion. "New Terra has evolved beyond a simple colony," Diana reported. "Current population estimates exceed 8 million across 6 continents. They have established 3 additional colonies in nearby systems and maintain a defensive fleet of over 400 vessels. Images appeared showing sprawling cities beneath alien suns, vast agricultural complexes, and orbital shipyards where humans built spacecraft using technologies that surpassed anything Earth had ever imagined. Haven Colony has become the center of interstellar commerce in this sector," Diana continued. "They have established trade relationships with 12 alien species and mediate disputes across 17 star systems. Their influence extends across nearly 50 light-years of space." More images flowed past Fletcher's eyes. Human diplomats negotiating with insectoid aliens, massive cargo vessels moving between star systems, space stations where dozens of species worked together in peaceful cooperation. "And Sanctuary?" Fletcher asked. "Sanctuary has perhaps achieved the most remarkable transformation. They have formed the Terran Defense Alliance with 6 alien species, protecting over 30 inhabited worlds from aggressive expansion by hostile civilizations. Human military technology combined with alien knowledge has created the most powerful defensive force in this region of the galaxy." Fletcher watched recordings of human warships flying alongside alien vessels, their combined fleets patrolling vast regions of space. Humanity hadn't just survived among the stars. They had become leaders, protectors, and builders of interstellar civilization. "Diana, what about Earth? Have any of the colonies attempted to make contact?" The AI's expression grew somber. "Several colonies have sent exploration vessels toward Earth over the past century, but all have followed strict protocols established by Director Harrison. They have observed Earth from a distance, confirming its continued development, but have not made contact. They await a signal from Earth that humanity here is ready to rejoin the galactic community." Fletcher understood the magnitude of what he faced. Earth's population of 10 billion people believed they were alone in the universe, unaware that human civilizations numbering in the hundreds of millions already thrived among the stars. The revelation would transform everything: politics, religion, science, society itself. Over the next several hours, Fletcher met with his team to discuss their options. Walsh argued for immediate contact with Earth's governments, believing humanity deserved to know the truth. Bradley favored a more cautious approach, suggesting they first establish communication with the colonies to understand the current galactic situation. But it was Dr. Robert Kim, their xenobiology specialist, who raised the most important question. What if we're not ready? What if revealing this information causes panic, social collapse, or worse? Earth's governments might respond with fear rather than wonder. Fletcher had considered this possibility extensively. Earth's political systems were already strained by resource conflicts and territorial disputes. The revelation that advanced human civilizations existed among the stars might destabilize everything. Diana offered a solution that Fletcher hadn't considered. Commander, the Prometheus was designed with multiple mission options. We could launch with a small crew to re-establish contact with the colonies first, gathering current intelligence and establishing diplomatic protocols. Once we understand the galactic situation, we could return to Earth with representatives from the colonial civilizations. The suggestion was appealing. Rather than shocking Earth with sudden revelations, they could carefully prepare for humanity's reunification with its stellar children. The colonies would have time to prepare as well, ensuring the process proceeded smoothly. Fletcher made his decision as he stood looking out at Earth one final time from the lunar facility. Diana, prepare the Prometheus for launch. We'll take a crew of 50 volunteers and begin with a tour of the nearest colonies. But first we establish communication protocols that allow gradual contact between Earth and the colonies. The next weeks transformed the abandoned moon base into a hub of activity. Fletcher carefully selected volunteers from Earth's most experienced space personnel, scientists who could handle the psychological impact of learning humanity's true galactic status. Each volunteer underwent extensive briefings about what they would encounter among the stars. Diana worked tirelessly to prepare the Prometheus for its first mission in over 2 centuries. The ship's systems responded perfectly, testament to the engineering brilliance of its creators. Manufacturing facilities produced fresh supplies and equipment. The Genesis array was calibrated for potential terraforming operations. Most importantly, the quantum communication arrays were tested and confirmed operational. 3 months after Fletcher's initial discovery, the Prometheus prepared for launch. The ship's departure from the lunar hangar was a moment of profound historical significance, though only 50 people witnessed it directly. As the massive vessel emerged from its hidden berth and oriented toward the stars, Fletcher felt the weight of humanity's future on his shoulders. Their first destination was New Terra, the oldest and largest of the human colonies. The journey that would have taken generations using conventional spacecraft was completed in just 72 hours, thanks to the ship's advanced FTL system. Fletcher watched through the bridge viewports as the Prometheus dropped out of quantum fold space near a solar system that bustled with human activity. What they found exceeded even Diana's optimistic projections. New Terra wasn't just a single world, but it was the heart of a stellar civilization that spanned 3 star systems. Massive orbital habitats surrounded the primary world, housing millions of inhabitants. Asteroid mining operations stripped entire asteroid belts to feed the colony's growth. And everywhere, spacecraft moved between worlds carrying goods, people, and ideas. The moment of first contact came as Fletcher authorized Diana to broadcast their identification codes. Within minutes, a response arrived that brought tears to Fletcher's eyes. UES Prometheus, this is Admiral Sarah Chen of the new Terra Defense Force, speaking on behalf of President Michael Torres. Welcome home. We have been waiting for you for 237 years. The reunion between Earth's representatives and their stellar descendants was emotional beyond description. Fletcher found himself meeting with humans whose ancestors had left Earth centuries ago, but who still considered themselves connected to humanity's birth world. They had preserved Earth languages, cultures, and traditions, while developing new ones adapted to their stellar environment. President Torres, a descendant of one of the original Project Exodus scientists, greeted Fletcher personally when the Prometheus docked at New Terra's primary orbital station. Commander Fletcher, Torres said, you cannot imagine what this moment means to us. We have dreamed of the day when Earth would rejoin us among the stars. Fletcher learned that the colonies had not been idle during their centuries of separation. New Terra had developed technologies that made even the Prometheus seem primitive by comparison. They had solved the problems of faster-than-light communication, created artificial gravity systems, and developed medical techniques that had extended human lifespan to over 200 years. But more importantly, they had maintained their essential humanity. The cities Fletcher visited buzzed with art, music, and culture that had evolved from Earth roots while embracing the unique experiences of stellar civilization. Children played in parks beneath alien suns, speaking languages that blended Earth tongues with new words created for their multi-world existence. The colonies had also faced challenges that had made them stronger. Wars with hostile alien species had forged them into capable defenders of human space. Resource conflicts had taught them the value of cooperation and sustainable development. The vast distances between stars had created cultures that prized both independence and unity. Fletcher spent weeks touring New Terra and its sister colonies, meeting with leaders who had guided humanity's stellar expansion, and scientists who had pushed the boundaries of human knowledge far beyond anything Earth had achieved. Each colony had developed its own character while maintaining connections to their shared human heritage. The moment of truth came when Fletcher established the first direct communication link between Earth and the colonies in over 2 centuries. Using the Prometheus as a relay station, he connected Earth's major governments with colonial leaders scattered across dozens of star systems. The initial reactions on Earth were exactly what Fletcher had feared. Shock, disbelief, and fear dominated the first responses. Several governments initially refused to accept that the communications were genuine, believing them to be elaborate hoaxes. Others demanded immediate access to colonial technologies, treating the colonies as resources to be exploited rather than cousins to be welcomed. But the colonial response surprised everyone. Rather than reacting with anger or disappointment, the stellar civilizations offered patience and understanding. They had anticipated Earth's difficulties accepting the truth and had prepared accordingly. President Torres addressed Earth's leaders during the first joint communication session. "We understand your shock and your concerns. We felt the same emotions when our ancestors first left Earth, unsure of what they would find among the stars. But we want you to know that we never forgot our origins. We never stopped being human. We simply became more than Earth alone could contain." The colonial leaders proposed a gradual integration process that would allow Earth time to adjust to the new reality. Cultural exchanges would begin immediately, allowing Earth's population to learn about their stellar relatives. Scientific cooperation would follow, with colonial technologies being shared to solve Earth's environmental and resource challenges. Eventually, voluntary migration programs would allow Earth's citizens to join the stellar civilizations if they chose. Fletcher returned to Earth 6 months later, no longer just an archaeologist but an ambassador between worlds. The Prometheus carried with it representatives from 12 colonial civilizations, scientists whose knowledge could revolutionize Earth's technology, and artists whose works reflected the incredible diversity of human culture among the stars. The world that Fletcher returned to was already changing. Knowledge of humanity's stellar empire had spread despite government attempts at secrecy. Rather than panic, most of Earth's population responded with wonder and excitement. They were not alone, and they were not the first. Humanity had already conquered the stars and was waiting to welcome its birth world home. As Fletcher stood once again on the lunar surface, looking up at stars he now knew were home to millions of humans, he reflected on what they had accomplished. The abandoned moon base had become a symbol of humanity's determination to survive. The Prometheus had become the bridge between Earth and its stellar children, and humanity itself had proven that no challenge, no threat, and no distance was too great for the human spirit to overcome. The age of Earth's isolation was ending. The age of humanity's galactic civilization was just beginning. And Fletcher knew that this was only the first chapter in a story that would span the galaxy and echo through the ages, proving that humanity would never accept limits on what they could achieve among the infinite stars.